3rd, 2022. How are you this morning?
I'm fantastic, John. How are you?
I am doing better. I am doing better. I'm not sure if we actually spoke about it too much over the last couple of meetings that we've had, but as you know, I went on this vacation a couple weeks ago, and when I came back, I had COVID.
Yikes. Yeah, it's going around again.
Yep. So we got. I think what happened is probably it may have happened on the cruise ship. Okay, it kind of happens. You're around 6,000 of your closest friends, right?
Exactly.
I actually got phone calls from the Virginia Department of Health because they follow up on lab test results, and they were actually inquiring mostly for my son. He's 16 years old, and he had been fully vaccinated, boosted, and all this kind of stuff. So they wanted to kind of find out, hey, kind of what are our symptoms and things like that. And that was part of their follow-up. So it was nice to have that conversation with the Virginia Department of Health. But we're 2.5 weeks out from coming back from the trip and finally feeling almost 100%. It was a little weird there the first week, having COVID because we had to completely isolate ourselves. But now we're kind of coming through that whole thing, but it's been a little bit of adjustment. So yes, I was doing much better today. There's a lingering thing that has been fairly common, and I'll just share this because some other people may be fighting with this as well. This version of COVID, one of the most common symptoms is sore throat, and a lingering brain fog. They don't necessarily have a clinical term for it, but they are calling it a brain fog. I've had a number of interactions with some real estate agents this week, some other folks that had also kind of encountered this version. It's the Omicron version of COVID. It's a little more mild, the overall effects, but this brain fog is a lingering effect, and it's a kind of a weird feeling. It's kind of like being on Sudafed.
Cool. Sounds like fun.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
I was actually hoping this was all a huge build-up to a fantastic dad joke.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is great that you mentioned that because, I'm thinking about the color blue today. I got some blue things in my screen here. I got my blue screen on my thing there. I got my blue thing here that has blue stuff in it. So it makes me think of what's blue and not very heavy.
What's blue and not very heavy?
Light blue.
That's a good one. Oh man, I should have saw that coming. Hey, mine will be real estate related.
Oh yeah?
What building has the most stories? A library.
A library. I was like, it was popping right in there. Okay. Yeah, I had to think about it because I was just at what? Great segue, because one of the things that we actually have here in Williamsburg is we have an amazing library system. Our library system here in Williamsburg is probably it's one of the best library systems I've ever seen and been able to participate with and stuff like that. And I'm over here pretty close to the one that's in Norge on Croker Road. But they have the main library there in Colonial Williamsburg has so many programs for cultural events and, adult programs, teen programs. They have a creative room where they bring technology stuff in for teenagers and all that kind of stuff. So quick plug, since you had the library reference joke for dad jokes, I thought, what? Hey, the library system here in Williamsburg needs a little call out. They do some great stuff within the community. They got a theater in there, and they do movies from time to time and all kinds of performances, live shows and stuff like that. So if you are in the Williamsburg area, if you're not in the Williamsburg area, you come to Williamsburg, check out the Williamsburg Library. They have so many cool things to offer for the community. And it's just one of those additional amazing things about this area that we live in.
I bet you could even find books in there on real estate and investing and home purchasing.
Right? I bet you could. There's probably a lot of new. In fact, I actually just ordered a new book. They have books that that they have interlibrary loan books and stuff like that, which they can usually get pretty quickly, but from one library to another, or maybe it's from another library system even. But I actually requested a book from the other day, and this is a cool book that I've heard about it before, and I just don't have it yet. It's called The Gap and the Gain. The book is called The Gap and the Gain. I think it's from Dan Sullivan, and I've been encouraged to read this book for a while now, and so now it's kind of made my hit list here pretty big. So the book, The Gap and the Gain. I went to the library and I said, hey, I could buy this book, but do you have it? They don't have it. You know what they did? They're getting it. They're going to get it and get it into circulation. So if there's a book that you're interested in having, of course, you can go out and buy it on Amazon or something like that. It's only a couple bucks, but the library system has a way to be able to acquire books that they don't have currently. Just takes them a little bit of time, and often they'll be able to get it for you as well. So
that's cool.
Here's my plug for the Williamsburg library system. I hope that somebody kind of gets some benefit out of that.
Cool. So we've been chatting recently about some opportunities for first-time home buyers. That may be a good thing for us to chat about today.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. So first-time home buyers, millennials particularly, make up a lot of the first-time home buyer crowd. But help me out a little bit. What is a definition of a first-time home buyer? How is the first-time home buyer defined in the loan programs that you work with?
Yeah, you'd think it'd be pretty obvious. It's your first time buying a house, which obviously, if you've never purchased a home before, you are clearly a first-time buyer. But in the mortgage world, we consider a first-time buyer someone who has not owned a primary residence in the last 3 years. So if you sold your home 3 years or more ago, then you are born again first-time home buyer and qualify for some of the first-time home buyer grants and incentives that could be available for first-time buyers here in Virginia. We partner with a group called Virginia Housing. It's a quasi-Virginia government agency that helps promote affordable housing in Virginia. And for first-time buyers, they offer programs including grant funds to help with down payment, even grant funds for closing costs for some of the no down payment loans like VA and USDA. So a veteran wants to purchase a home, they don't have to make a down payment. So there's closing cost grants available. So yes, there's definitely some pretty cool benefits for first-time buyers in Virginia. We're very fortunate to have that.
I think that's really cool that you brought that up. I'm glad you asked the question because, we're also going to be putting together a program that you and I are working together on August 25th. We're going to have a live event, which is going to be a home buyer seminar. And we're going to be doing some education for anybody that's interested in buying a home and just kind of wants to learn more. And I want everybody to understand, if you're seeing this video, this is a no obligation. This is an educational program. Kevin and I are here to help you. We're here to answer questions and to provide solutions and information and assistance wherever we can, because that, I think, is a key part of home ownership, is understanding the process. And, not everybody is in the right position at any given moment to buy a home. But I think there's a lot of folks that maybe think they can't do it, or maybe think that there's too much standing in their way, and they don't realize how much closer they are to home ownership than they realize. And so certainly I hope that's something that we can convey when we do this seminar. This is going to be August 25th. I'll have more information that's going to be posted on. It's going to be 5:30 in the afternoon at my office in Mid-Atlantic down in Yorktown. So from here, from Williamsburg, it's about a 20-minute ride down to where this location will be. And we'll do other ones. We'll have to do one maybe at your office somewhere, not to jump out of place and offer your space up, but maybe there's a way we can do something, here in Williamsburg at some point in time too.
Or we could even host one at the Williamsburg Library.
Yes, indeed. You are. That's a great point. Or you know what? There's also venues at the James City County Rec Center, and gosh, I'm reminded of so many facilities and places here and the resources that are in our area that make this area so fantastic. So 3-year thing, that 3-year thing that you mentioned, that's interesting, because if somebody has sold a home and they've been renting for 3 years or wherever they might be for 3 years, that they still can qualify as a first-time home buyer. That is a new thing. People may not understand that. Are there any other parameters for first-time home buyers? So it's just really just the 3 years. If you haven't owned a home or haven't had your name on a deed for a home, 3 years subsequently, you are able to apply for a new mortgage and qualify as a first-time home buyer. Is that correct?
Correct. And you have not owned your primary residence. So let's say you used to live in another state, moved here, you chose not to sell that home for some reason, and it's been held as an investment property. You can still be qualified as a first-time buyer as long as you haven't lived in that other property. It's been rented out for 3 years or more, and we of course have to prove that. Likely just have to see tax returns, showing that you haven't lived there, claimed it as a rental, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. So good point. That's awesome. Good stuff to know. So yeah, these first-time home buyer programs. Can you describe a little bit more of what the terms might be for a first-time home buyer? We got into some of you spoke briefly about some of the grants. I'd love to hear you chat a little bit more about some details if you can share.
Sure. Yeah, for the grant programs, which is my favorite because it's free money, you don't have to pay back. For FHA and conventional mortgages, they'll grant you all but 1% of the required down payment. For example, if you were getting an FHA mortgage, Federal Housing Administration, that requires a 3.5% minimum down payment, they'll grant you 2.5%, which means you have to come up with 1%. So on a $200,000 purchase, you only need $2,000 in down payment. Same thing on conventional. They have a minimum 3% down. They'll grant you 2, so you have to come up with your 1. And for your VA and USDA, that don't require a down payment, so they'll give closing cost grant assistance that you don't have to pay back. If you're like, oh my goodness, I can't afford 1% down, there are still programs for that too. They call it their plus loan or their loan combo, where that same FHA mortgage, 3.5% down, they actually finance the 3.5% down payment as a second mortgage, so that you do have to pay back, but it's all over the same 30-year term. So, and at the same low interest rate. So it ends up being very low cost. You're paying maybe $30 a month, $40 a month at most on that second mortgage payment. So you can finance the entire down payment. And if you have excellent credit on that program, you can even finance a little bit more to help with closing costs. So it's some really great programs to help make home purchases more affordable and really just to help more Virginians be able to purchase without having to, struggle with down payment, without having to wait until they have the money saved.
Wow. That's so obviously it's a very great program, and I look forward to getting more information out there about this and having more folks that can ask questions about this type of program. So I'll make sure that here we are about 20 minutes after 10. So I got to make sure that Kevin can get on about his day because he's a busy man, and we've got a lot of meetings set up for myself here today as well. So Kevin, fantastic information about first-time home buyers today. I'll look forward to getting together with you on the 25th. And is there anything else, any other parting wisdoms that you would like to share this morning?
Yeah, just real quick, talking about obstacles. There's a lot of people on the sidelines right now, worried about home affordability, worried about even interest rates. Interest rates have been making some positive movements. You may hear, oh, rates are going up on the news. It's actually the opposite. When the Fed raises rates, it's often good for mortgage rates. So we've seen some improvement, but if you compare it to renting, just saw some statistics for a 2-bedroom home in the US, the average mortgage payment runs about $1,842 a month. The average rent, $2,104 a month. So goodness, you're paying about $250 a month more for rent on average in the United States for a similar 2-bedroom home, buying is definitely affordable.
It's that reminds me of a little saying that is just true no matter what the markets are doing. Whether you rent or whether you buy, you pay for the space you occupy.
Yep.
And when you buy a home, it is something that you have that control of. And when you are renting a home, somebody else controls it, and they control your money, and they can raise that rent. So I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk about inflation and other stuff on future meetings. So today we'll go ahead and wrap up, because it's nice to have some other, we got so much to talk about any given day.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for
Thanks,
jumping on
John.
Yep. What was that?
I said, hey, it sounds great. I said, thanks, John.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we will revisit again next Wednesday. And in the meantime, if anybody has any mortgage questions, you need help with anything, if you're a first-time home buyer or whatever your mortgage needs are, Kevin here is available to help you. I'll make sure the contact information is here in the description on the page, so you can reach out to Kevin directly. And if you have any questions about real estate or whether it's buying or selling a home, and you want to talk about real estate stuff, please feel free to reach out to me. My name is John Polson, Homes and Land by John with Mid-Atlantic Residential, and I'm here to help you with your real estate needs as well. So thank you, Kevin, for your time. Have a fantastic, awesome day. Stay away from COVID. It sucks, but you know what? What another thing that was shared in the statistics here with the Virginia Department of Health when they called is that once you've had it, your immunity to it is extremely heightened. So that's a little bit of a comforting feeling, but it's hard to avoid it right now. I think but it's not as bad as perhaps it has been in the past. But everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll look forward to talking to you again in another meeting. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.